Welcome to Reflective Mind. This is a place where stories are not just told, they are experienced. Today, we explore one of the most dramatic economic transformations in human history. How did a poor, isolated nation become the world's second largest economy in just a few decades? How did China build the fastest growing major economy the world has ever seen? This is not just a story about money. It's a story about strategy, control, risk, and long-term vision. Let's reflect. To understand China's rise, we must begin at its lowest point. In 1949, after years of civil war, the Communist Party took control under Mao Zedong. The country was exhausted, infrastructure destroyed, industry almost non-existent, extreme poverty everywhere. China was one of the poorest nations on earth. At that time, most Chinese citizens were farmers. Factories were rare. Technology was limited. And international trade almost zero. The country turned inward. Mao introduced central planning. Private businesses were eliminated. Land was collectivized. The government controlled production, prices, and employment. The intention was equality, but the results were devastating. The Great Leap Forward, a campaign meant to rapidly industrialize, led to one of the worst famines in history. Millions died. Later, the Cultural Revolution created chaos in education, business, and governance. By the mid-1970s, China was politically stable, but economically weak. GDP per capita was extremely low. Factories were outdated. Productivity was minimal. The world did not see China as a future economic giant. Then, something unexpected happened. In 1978, a quiet but powerful leader emerged, Deng Xiaoping. He asked a radical question: what if ideology is less important than results? Deng believed China could remain politically communist, but economically flexible. This was revolutionary. He introduced what he called socialism with Chinese characteristics. In simple terms, the government would remain in control, but markets would be allowed to operate. It was a hybrid model, and it changed everything. Deng made a decision that defined modern China: open the country to foreign investment. At that time, China had something powerful: a massive population willing to work. Labor was cheap. Discipline was strong. The government created special economic zones. Cities like Shenzhen were chosen as experiments. Foreign companies were invited. Taxes were reduced. Regulations were simplified. Factories were built rapidly. What happened next was explosive. Shenzhen, once a small fishing village, became a megacity within decades. Foreign companies moved production to China. Why? Lower costs, large workforce, government support. The world started labeling China the world's factory. During the 1980s and 1990s, China focused heavily on manufacturing. It produced clothing, electronics, toys, furniture, machinery, everything. Western companies outsourced production. American and European consumers benefited from lower prices. adapting. In 2001, China joined the World Trade Organization. This was a major milestone. It signaled to the world China is open for global business. Exports exploded. Manufacturing scaled even faster. GDP growth averaged near double digits for years. Hundreds of millions of people were lifted out of poverty. This was the fastest poverty reduction in human history. Cities transformed. China was no longer just assembling products, it was designing them. Unlike Western economies, China's government maintained strong control. 5-year plans guided development. Key industries were strategically supported. The state directed capital toward national priorities. This allowed rapid mobilization of resources. When Beijing decides to build something, it gets built fast. But this model also creates risks. Debt levels increased. Property markets overheated. Government control sometimes limited private freedom. The system was powerful, but not without tension. As China grew stronger, the world reacted. Trade tensions increased. Concerns about supply chain dependence emerged. Competition with the United States intensified. The economic relationship became complex, interdependent, strategic. Globalization had created deep connections, and now those connections were being reconsidered. China now faces new challenges: an aging population, slower growth rates, rising labor costs, geopolitical tension, debt in the property sector. The easy growth phase is over. The next phase requires innovation and stability. The question now is not, can China grow fast? But, can it sustain leadership? So what truly built China's economic miracle? It wasn't just cheap labor. It wasn't just foreign investment. It was long-term strategic planning, infrastructure at scale, education investment, gradual reform, not shock therapy, strong state coordination. China didn't try to change overnight. It changed step by step, experiment by experiment, city by city. There is something powerful about China's story. It shows that transformation does not require perfection. It requires direction. It requires discipline. It requires patience. China thought in decades, not quarters. And long-term thinking creates compound growth, whether you are building a country, a company, or your own future. The lesson is clear. Consistency beats speed. Strategy beats emotion. Vision beats fear. And that is the story of how China built the world's fastest-growing major economy. If this episode helped you understand global power differently, then this is exactly what Reflective Mind is about. We explore the strategies behind nations, leaders, and economic transformation. If you enjoy learning through powerful, real-world stories, subscribe to Reflective Mind. Like this video if it gave you new perspective. And tell me in the comments, which country should we explore next? Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, stay reflective.